There are crimes that are solved in a day. There are crimes that take years. And then there is Hinterkaifeck. A century has passed, and the snow that covers this story has never melted. It remains Germany's most terrifying unsolved mystery. 6 people brutally murdered on a lonely farm. But the killing isn't what makes this story nightmare fuel. It's what happened before the murders, the creeping dread that someone else was watching. And it's what happened after, because when the police finally arrived, they realized something horrifying. The killer hadn't run away. After slaughtering an entire family, he moved in. 6 months before the murders, the maid quit. She stood in the snow, terrified, and told the farmer, Andreas Gruber, that the house was cursed. She said she heard footsteps in the attic at night, voices in the walls. She left and never returned. Andreas Gruber was a hard man, a grumpy loner. He laughed it off. But then the strange things started happening to him. In March 1922, a few days before the end, Andreas told neighbors about something weird he found in the snow. Footprints leading out of the dense forest straight to his farmhouse door. But there were no footprints leading back out. Whoever walked to the house was still there. Then keys went missing. A set of house keys just vanished, and a newspaper was found on the porch that no one in the family had bought. Someone was living in the shadows of Hinterkaifeck, watching, waiting. Friday, March 31st, 1922, the new maid, Maria, arrived for her first day of work. It would also be her last. As the sun went down, something lured the family into the barn, one by one. We don't know how. Maybe they heard a noise. Maybe the cattle were restless. First, the father, Andreas, then his wife, Cecilia, then their widowed daughter, Victoria, and her 7-year-old daughter, Cecilia. As they walked through the barn door, they were ambushed. The weapon was brutal, a mattock, a heavy pickaxe used for digging roots. They were struck down instantly. Their bodies were stacked on top of each other in the hay. The killer then walked into the house. He found the new maid, Maria, in her bedroom. And finally, he went to the crib of the youngest family member, 2-year-old Joseph. 6 people, gone in minutes. The silence returned to the farm. This is where the story goes from a murder mystery to a horror movie. For the next 3 days, neighbors saw smoke rising from the chimney of Hinterkaifeck. They assumed the family was home, just keeping to themselves as usual. But the family was dead in the barn. So who was lighting the fire? When the bodies were finally discovered on April 4th, police found remnants of recently eaten meals in the kitchen. The beds had been slept in, and most disturbing of all, someone had been feeding the cattle. For 3 days after the slaughter, the killer stayed on the farm. He ate their food, he slept in their beds, he did the chores, all while 6 corpses lay just a few yards away. He was living with his victims. The investigation was chaos. The police had no leads, no motive, nothing was stolen. There was large sums of cash in the house, untouched. Desperate, the police took a grotesque step. They cut the heads off the victims and sent them to psychics in Munich, hoping the spirits would reveal the killer. The spirits said nothing, and the heads were later lost during World War II. Over 100 suspects were questioned, vagrants, neighbors who hated old man Andreas, even Victoria's dead husband, rumored to have faked his death in the war and returned for revenge. But every lead went cold. In 1923, the farm was demolished. The neighbors couldn't stand to look at it anymore. While tearing it down, they found the murder weapon, the mattock, hidden in the attic floorboards. They also found something else in the attic, a space hidden in the hay, straw flattened down into a bed, scraps of food. Someone had been living up there, watching the family below, perhaps for days, perhaps for weeks. Who was he? Why did he wait, and why did he stay after the killing was done? The snow has melted on Hinterkaifeck 100 times since then, but the answers are still buried. Who do you think was living in the attic? A stranger or someone they knew? Let me know your theory below. And stay tuned, the next file I'm opening is even darker. Subscribe so you don't miss it.